Hello everyone and welcome along to What I Learned This Week. This week we've got Amy Malius from Kate Bakos Property. So first things first, Amy, let's talk about subject to finance offers.
Yeah.
So when are they in play?
Well, subject to finance is really interesting because in certain situations you can be subject to finance and in others you absolutely can't. So when we're buying private sale properties or properties which are off market, which are by nature private sale, then we can be subject to finance. However, a subject to finance offer will be weaker than an unconditional offer. So if we've got competition, then we need to understand that our offer played against an unconditional offer, a vendor or an agent will always prefer to take an unconditional offer, especially in this kind of difficult lending environment.
Yeah, and I actually had that same scenario with a client who'd offered about 10 or 15 grand more, but other offer was unconditional, and unfortunately we just hadn't got organised in time.
And that's a massive amount, $10,000 to $15,000 for a vendor to only have uncertainty for a 2-week subject to finance clause. And that's when we really have to start speaking to the agents and understand their vendor's motivation. Are they really price sensitive or are they condition sensitive? And then we can formulate the offer accordingly.
Sure. And then what about, so we've covered off on private sale, what about around auction time?
If you're going to auction, you can't be subject to finance unless it's an absolute exceptional circumstance. Maybe the campaign is really, really struggling or they've got no buyers. Otherwise, you have to have your pre-approval sorted. On auction day, you're bidding under the hammer, you're bidding unconditionally. Now, in the past, that was very, very relevant, but for now, when the passing rates are a lot higher because properties aren't selling as well as they were, sometimes if you go along to auction, if you love a property but your finance just isn't ready yet because it's taking a bit of time, if the property passes in, there's no other buyers or the highest bidder isn't prepared to pay the reserve and they're not close, an agent might consider a conditional offer. And people don't understand that sometimes a property can sell after an auction and be conditional. Everything's negotiable at that level.
Well, it's good to know you're potentially still in the game. But I mean, obviously pre-approval is very important in both of those instances, regardless, and it's good to get organised.
And also what people need to understand as well is that if they are submitting an offer prior to auction, they need to understand the rules of the game. Every single agent has a different way they'll take offers, and there's no legislation around this, there's no rules. Every agency will have a different rule, and sometimes agents within the same agency will run it differently.
So there's the best and final offer.
There's a best and highest offer, but sometimes there's something called best and highest with last right of refusal. So if you're the first person, you get the last choice. It's totally untransparent. We don't like doing that. We would rather go to auction in that case. They might do a boardroom auction, they might do a ring around on the phone. You need to understand those rules because if you don't, you might not formulate your strategy accordingly. And also in some circumstances, it might be better to just go to auction.
Excellent. Well, Amy, thanks very much for coming in today, and hopefully everyone learned a little bit. Any questions that you've got, feel free to post them in the comments section and myself or Amy will attend to them. Thanks very much.